It's a Flex Friday, and we are at the American Heritage Museum in Hudson getting ready for Veterans Day. We're going to try this with our guy, Joe Landry.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right. How about that? That's one step forward. You can hear us. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Can we have a round of applause for Joe for his service to our country in World War II?
Yes.
Thanks for being here. We haven't seen you since last Veterans Day. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, good. Did I hear that you just got your driver's license? You passed the test. You're rolling along.
I just got my driver's license for 5 years.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Wow.
So I hope I use it.
Yeah, I hope you do too. What was your? Do you remember the first car you bought?
First car I bought was a 1932 Ford station wagon. And I cut the back off and made a pickup truck out of it. Probably worth $1 million today.
It probably would be. It probably would be.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, for me, for Courtney, for Shine, for everybody, Curtis, everybody who listens to the show, to kind of hear the stories of the way things were. And I was thinking about this the other day. How old were you when you were drafted?
I was 18 and a half.
18 and a half.
Yeah, and I was drafted in March of 43. Went into Fort Devens, which was right next door, and went from there to North Carolina for basic training, and back to Camp Edwards down the Cape. We shipped out of Boston to Scotland and down through England
and all over.
All over.
Just to be clear for Shime and Courtney, you didn't receive your draft notice via email, or you weren't notified on Instagram or Facebook.
How were you notified?
How?
I got a letter in the mail saying my friends and neighbors wanted my service, but I didn't know any of them. But
I find it interesting right now with the election just happening and going and casting your vote on a ballot. But now they put it into a machine and everything's counted that way. But back when you were younger, your first election of memory, they were doing that all by hand, right? Like they would have to count all the votes?
Yeah, and
they don't do that anymore.
They were all...
Just kidding. I'm sorry. Sorry, I guess.
They were all paper ballots, and I worked at the polling place for a couple of years, and my job was they'd put the ballot in this machine, and I would turn the crank to put it in the box. And a gentleman was joking with everybody in the hall, so when he got to put the ballot in my box, he told me, he says, "I hope my vote counts." I says, "It won't. This is the paper shredder."
Who was the first president that you voted for?
I'd have to say Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Wow. FDR.
Yeah.
Wow.
FDR.
I have a question for Joe. First of all, the set getting younger without me there with a 100-year-old is not a great look for me. But the day that you found out you were coming home, how was that told to you? Were you able to write a letter home? What was the process like when the war ended, or your service in the war ended? How did you find that out? What did you feel, and how did you let everybody know that you were in fact coming home?
Well, they didn't have cell phones back then. I really don't remember. I know I let them know somehow, but we came back. I got discharged out of Fort Devens, and at the time, they'd give you taxi fare to go home, so they gave me a quarter.
And that was enough to get the taxi home.
Wow.
And I still have the quarter.
But you served
1945.
Whoa.
You served at the time that you served. 5 of your 7 siblings were also serving. Do I have that number right?
I had two brothers in the Air Corps as mechanics. I had a brother in the Seabees as a bulldozer operator. I had a sister in the Coast Guard and myself in the Army. And then later on, my younger brother went and spent 21 years in the Navy. And my older sister didn't go into service, but she spent all the war years at the USO building in Shirley, hosting GIs and parties and stuff like that. So all 7 of us served. And since after I got married and my son went into service and he spent 21 years destroying chemical weapons all over the country.
What was that like for your mom with
well,
all of you serving at the same time?
I never saw my mother cry, but her hair turned white.
While you were gone?
While we were gone.
Yeah.
And there was, 5 of us in World War II, and we all came home.
But there was, yeah. And then there with Thanksgiving right around the corner, there's a story I think about you being overseas serving, and then being able to celebrate Thanksgiving with your brother by random occurrence. Is that
just by luck? I was on a trip to pick up supplies for my outfit, and there was a Jeep in front of me, and as you know, all vehicles had the outfit numbers on the bumpers. So this Jeep had my brother's numbers on it. So I blew the horn to get them to stop to see where they were stationed. And lo and behold, my brother was in the Jeep.
Oh, wow.
So it's just unbelievable, I know a lot of people made appointments and went to visit brothers and cousins and that, but this was just a fluke, and it was 2 or 3 days before Thanksgiving. And he being in the Air Force, they sent an airplane back to England and got ice cream and turkey and the whole bit. And we had a feast, and I understand my outfit was eating Cracker Jack, K1 rations.
And you guys had ice cream and turkey.
Yeah.
Smart move.
And like I said, we all survived, and every Thanksgiving we kind of had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Joe, let me ask this, because I think they always say this, like, who's the one person, if you could have dinner with, you've been on this earth for a long time, who is the most famous person that you were able to come in contact with? We see so many great people throughout time, but you've been here for so long. Who was that one person that you was able to meet famous that you were like, wow, this is an unbelievable experience?
During the war or afterward?
Just throughout your whole life.
Well, I was at a ceremony in St. Marie-l'Église, France, 2 years ago with the 82nd Airborne, and they had a party. And I was sitting by myself, and the woman that was running the party said, "Will you come sit over here?" And there was 3 seats. She sat me in the middle, and the next thing I know, there's a 4-star general on my left that was the head general for the 82nd Airborne. And then there was a 4-star general on my right who was the chief of staff from Washington, D.C. So he's probably the most important person I've ever met.
Wow.
Pretty good company.
Other than Vanna White, I met her once.
Wait, how'd you meet Vanna White?
Yeah.
How'd you meet Vanna White?
My wife won a all-expense paid trip to California on the Wheel of Fortune. And they were having a party, and I got to meet her and Pat.
Did your wife win?
Pardon?
Did she win any money on Wheel of Fortune? No.
No.
So you got to meet the important one. I have to know, because you are so funny, so witty. You look great. Like, what is your key to success when it comes to life? I want to make sure that I'm doing exactly what you're doing.
I won't tell you, but
That's it. Can we please? That's it.
Classic.
the only thing I noticed I did different was I didn't drink much and I never smoked.
I'm cooked.
Other than that, I'm still here.
Yeah, and you're doing
Right.
great.
Unbelievable.
One thing that you can take credit for is that you recently threw out the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game, and it was better than both Wiggy and I, and we've tried 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So how did that end up happening?
Well, I belong to the Battle of Boat Association, and my son happens to be president of it, and we were having our convention in St. Louis, so somehow he arranged for me to throw out the first pitch.
Oh, look at this. So here we have, if we can probably we can take a picture of that or get it over, but that's the baseball card. So I think it was you threw a strike.
Pardon?
You threw a strike.
Yeah.
You threw a strike.
And
Like Cy Young.
I've been in the right place at the right time
There you go.
a few times.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Did you
You can have that.
kind of have that?
Yeah. I got a few more.
You're like
Yeah.
Wiggy. He brings his own photos everywhere.
Sign 'em.
Did you ever see Ted Williams play?
Did I what?
See Ted Williams play for the Red Sox? See Ted Williams.
Yeah.
Did you
No, I never.
You never saw him play?
No.
Okay.
Greg has.
Yeah.
Is that-
Thank you.
Here you go, Wiggy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you a big sports
Pardon?
fan as a kid growing up?
I never played any sports.
Okay.
We played in a farmer's yard. A bunch of kids got together and we used dried couch flaps for bases. And one kid had a ball all taped up and somebody else had a bat. And
Yeah.
Joe, before you went to serve in World War II, where was the furthest you had traveled from home?
probably Boston.
So you went from never going more than
But
20 minutes away to going to an entirely different continent. What was the boat trip like there? What did you do? What did you talk about? How did you pass time? Were you all terrified? Were you all energized? What was the morale on the ship to the war?
Well, I don't know. Kids back then were different kids today. We had to do everything for ourselves. And that's why they call us the greatest generation.
You
know,
are.
Today, everything is planned for everybody.
Yeah.
But somebody asked me not too long ago how I felt about being drafted. So I told them I was in a family of 7. They took me out of the family wearing hand-me-down clothes and that kind of stuff. They gave me a set of uniforms. They sent me on a train ride to North Carolina. They brought me back, put me on a boat, gave me a cruise to Scotland, another train ride down the coast, put me on a boat across the English Channel, and gave me a truck to drive. They paid the gas. So how can you go wrong?
No. Unbelievable.
Speaking, I mean, really, like, there's a little bit of a difference there when it comes to the way we have all approached
We are
life.
spoiled.
I would say.
I
When you were-
have been very, very fortunate all through my life. And thank God for that. And I have so many friends that I can't count them all. But thank you.
Driving, this is for Courtney and Chime and everybody. Driving the truck how would you know where you were going? Because there was no such thing as GPS.
Well, they give you what they call a strip map, and tell you where to go, but they only had the road that you were supposed to be on. So if you accidentally got off that road, you were on your own.
My God.
And because all the roads over there at the time were gravel, and on one of the particular convoys I was on, the lieutenant was leading the convoy in a Jeep, driving like crazy, and we couldn't keep up with him, and I happened to be the first truck behind him. So I pulled the whole convoy off the road, and about 20 minutes later, he decided we weren't behind him anymore, so he came back and he started chewing me up one side and down the other, and I politely told him, you know what, and I told him I was protecting the convoy and myself.
Yeah.
Because as anybody that's been in convoy knows that you might be fighting for your country, but you're also fighting to protect the guy next to you. So I was protecting that. And he threatened to court-martial me, but he realized he was wrong, so that went by the board. And when I met my brother outside of Metz, France, I used to take a truck on the weekend if we weren't moving around, and I'd go see my brother, which was about 20 miles away, and every Monday morning I'd get heck from the CO. And finally one time he said, I'd do the same thing. So I told him I might not be here tomorrow, and I got a chance to see my brother, and I took it.
Yeah.
So.
When you guys were over there fighting, how would you get news? Would it just come from
News?
Yeah, news, like, you know.
The Odyssey app? Or?
They had like a magazine that came out once a week.
Okay.
And but you didn't get, there was months we got no mail or anything because my particular outfit, we were shooting down airplanes in England, and we were supposed to go in on the invasion, and we couldn't move the whole outfit because we were semi-mobile. So they took us off of D-Day, and finally we protected the harbor where all the ships were. And one night a German bomber came in, and our guns couldn't shoot at it because they'd have shot up an English outfit that was on the other bank of the river. And he proceeded to blow up an oil tanker in the harbor, which made quite a fire. Wow. I was very fortunate to get to Omaha Beach on the 18th of July before they fled St. Lo. And General Patton couldn't get through St. Lo because the Germans had it really fortified. And he called for the 8th and 9th Air Force out of England to bomb the town. And you can't hardly believe this, but there was about 3,000 airplanes in the sky at the same time. And you couldn't hardly see the sky for airplanes. And they bombed St. Lo almost out of existence. And a one-star general by the name of McNair was killed in that particular bombing. They laid his body on the front of a cathedral that still had the wall standing, but nothing else. And they covered him with an American flag, and the graves registration came along and took him away. But that was the breakout for going across Europe, was St. Lo.
Well, we're so glad that you're here, and to meet you last year was one of the greatest things that has come from doing this radio show for a long time. And what I'd probably speak on behalf of everybody here when I say thank you for your service and what you did for our country. And without you, we would not be here today. So I thank you so much for it. Wow. And it's extraordinary to leave here at 18, having never been out of the country, and to go places that you never thought you'd go and do what you did is really, it's incredible. So
thank you. And
yeah, I think.
I've told a lot of Vietnam veterans that I'm glad to see that they're finally getting the recognition they deserve. They got a bad time coming home, and it's starting to get better for them, and I'm glad for that. You know.
Yeah.
Because I've had too many things like this that just unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we're going to make it unbelievable for another lunch today, and I thank you so much. I think we have a birthday cake for your 100th.
Another one?
Yeah. What was the best gift you got for your 100th birthday?
Well, I got to say this honestly. When they started advertising about my birthday in town, there was about 3,000 people showed up altogether. And I told them I didn't want any gifts. But I told them if they wanted to bring something, would you make a donation towards the American Legion and to the Battle of the Boat Association? So to me, that's the best gift I got, because I was given over $1,000, and I've sent $500 to both outfits.
Oh, that's awesome.
In my name.
Awesome, Joe.
But,
all right, Joe Landry.
Incredible.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back from the American Heritage Museum in Hudson on the Friday before Veterans Day.